بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشرف الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال وعن سمرة بن جندب رضي الله عنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يأمرنا أن نخرج الصدقة من الذي نعده للبيع. So Samurah bin Jundub radiallahu anhu said the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam ordered us, or used to order us, to make zakah, here sadaqah in the meaning of zakah, for the assets that we considered as for sale. So this is an important principle. So we spoke about first the zakah of silver and gold and currency because they're considered the same. Then we talked about the zakah of the crops and the plantations. And then we talked about the zakah of the jewelry yesterday according to some of the scholars. And we mentioned in the hadith before that any asset that you own for use, you don't have to make zakah on, such as your car, your house, your farm, the equipment that are in a factory. All these things you don't have to pay zakat on. Now, in this hadith, this is what they call the Bulugh al Maram, the assets that are meant to be for sale. So, someone in Jundub said the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to make zakat on that. And that applies basically to the people who have merchandise or inventory that is available for sale. So that has to be zakatable. Such as a person who owns a store, let's say for clothes. So at the Tamam al-Hawl, at the completion of the annual, the Qamari annual, the Hijri annual, they have to basically survey all the assets they have. Not the store itself, not the physical building itself, because that's for use. But the assets, the merchandise in that store, all the inventory has to be surveyed, and then you have to pay 2.5% of its value. Same thing, a car dealer, for example. They own on the lot 60 cars. At the annual, at the completion of the annual, they have to survey how many cars are there. They take out the expenses, and then they pay the zakat on all the merchandise.
What it costs them to buy it, or what they are selling?
Fair market value.
Cali Blue Book or
Blue Book is
MRSCP.
Yeah, so this is the estimate basically of their value and how much they're gonna sell. A lot of sales now are standard. It's very well known. So, and this is a very important aspect. So we talked about again the currency, the silver and gold, the crops. Then this is urud al-tijara, the assets that are meant for sale. Then this is the last one actually, what they call al-mustaghallat, meaning the periodic profit, the seasonal profit. An example for that, if someone leasing a land, for example, and getting, the lease, the rent for that land, or an apartment, or a house, or any other things. This is what we call the ghille. It's what you use in Syria, al-ghille, right? The revenue that is collected from the rent. So the scholar said there are two ways of drawing zakat on this. You either combine it with your other assets, and at the completion of the hawl, of the annual, you pay 2.5%, right? Some other scholars, and this is one of the contemporary scholars said, it has to be measured or applied based on the crops actually. You pay 10% seasonally. So if you're leasing the farm for the season, for example, they give you every 3 months they give you, or every 6 months, they're using it for 2 seasons, winter and summer. Then whatever you collect, at the time of collection, you pay 10% based on the crops formula. Allahu A'lam, it's easier and it is stronger opinion actually to do the former one, that the 2.5%, you basically combine it with the rest of the assets. So this would conclude what you pay on the zakat. Now we're going to talk about Sadaqat al-Fitr, and then after that how you pay, to whom the zakat should be paid, inshallah.
So,
Bismillah.
What about people have money in 401k plans? I've heard some of the scholars say that as long as you have voluntarily contributed money, then that's like giving a loan to someone. That is money that you have intentionally saved up, so you should pay zakat on it every year. Some of them might say if this is kind of obligatory on you and you had no choice on it, then maybe you can wait until the...
We answered this question before, but we will repeat it for the benefit. According to some scholars, that any money you cannot have control over, meaning if I tell you, give me your $1 million now, you say, okay, here's a check, you go cash it now. Meaning you have to have full control, full authority. The money that you don't have full control over, then you don't have to pay zakat on it. That's according to Madhab Imam Malik rahimahullah. Once you are able to access it, then any amount in your position, you pay zakat on it. For example, when they give you the pension, they give you $5,000 a month, that's when you pay zakat on it. According to the Amjad, and one of the brothers says, you apply today for your 401k, next Monday they will hand it to you. So according to the Amjad, they said, there is a formula where you take out the penalty of early withdrawal, that's 10%, and you take the taxes away. You're in the highest bracket, I can imagine, so a third of that. So it is, the remainder of it is 50-60% probably, and then you pay annually. This is the more cautious, wallahu a'lam, and this is the safest application of the zakat. And same thing, the 529, for the college funds as well. Same formula applies and same principle applies.
Urud al-Tijara is 2.5% at the end of the...
Yes.
What if you borrow a 401k, you borrow like 50,000, you still gonna pay?
You pay on it. It's in your position. That's actually a good point, because some people, when they wanna, they allow you to borrow sometimes. So you take the money that becomes zakatable, no question about that. So there was a question from yesterday. I want to address it before we forget it. Renting the bars of gold. This is so there are two ways or two aspects of this. Leasing the jewelry itself. If someone has jewelry, a set of jewelry, they want to lease it for someone to use. They pay him, let's say $500 to rent it for a week, that is allowable. There is no question about that. Leasing the bars of gold, the raw gold basically, in the description, the way it works basically, and I had to understand how that works. So you have a bar, a kilogram of gold, for example, few bars. You give them to the jeweler. The jeweler is going to make them and melt them and make bracelets, rings, and then based on that, we'll give you a percentage every month. That is absolutely haram and not allowable. So that is exactly what riba is. So basically, he's not renting from you because the rent is for the manfa'a, the benefit. He's not going to look at it and kiss it and enjoy it, right? He's basically doesn't have liquidation to buy gold. So he's taking your gold, that's a loan, and paying a profit, which is not a profit, it is riba, the usury on it. And when he has the funds, the liquidation, he's buying another bar and giving it back to you. So he's taking a loan and giving you upfront money and then returning it when he has the money. Does that make sense? So that's why it didn't feel so right. So this is how it worked in many countries, and this is what some people do for buildings actually. The contractor doesn't have the money. He tells you, okay, give me $1 million, أشغل لك إياهم. I'm gonna invest them for you, give you 10% a month, and at the end of 6 months or 9 months, give you the money back. That is not investment. Investment, when it goes for, takes the risk of, benefit and loss, or profit and loss. Okay, so that's the same principle. طيب, Bismillah.
The same question on the 401k. When people take money from 401k, like $50,000, usually buy their house. On that case, do I have to pay that on that?
If you are paying zakat on it already, every year, you don't have to pay zakat over it now, because it is, the zakat is paid already, and you don't pay zakat on the same asset twice. This is not an Uncle Sam where you pay taxes, left and right. Is that clear?
No, probably he is saying that if he took the money, 50,000, and immediately buy the house.
Yeah, when they buy the
So
house.
spending immediately without 1 year.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. If you are already paying zakat every year, you don't have to pay zakat now. If you have not paid zakat on it before, you have to pay the zakat, and then after that, use it for whatever you want to do.
And also when you take the money from 401k, you have to pay like interest. Is it going to your own account? So I'm taking a loan from the 401k from my own account. Now I have to pay interest to me actually. Yeah. Is it halal?
When you borrow against yourself,
That means
the
you're
interest
gonna
goes
pay.
back towards you.
You're paying yourself, the money.
If you're paying interest to yourself, good for you. Enjoy it, alhamdulillah. So that is allowable. And some people, this is when they have two entities, for example. They take a loan from one entity to themselves, and then they pay interest, let's say 10% to that entity. Is that okay? That is okay.
And then that interest covers the tax.
Oh,
The zakat.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
So for Airbnbs, people have a house, they buy another house,
You are very creative.
or no, but it's happening. Or actually, they rent a portion of their house as Airbnb. So that the house that you get for Airbnb, you have to pay zakat on the value of the house, and it's not your house. وبعدين pay zakat on the money that you're making monthly on the house. Huh?
So we mentioned before, any asset for use or even for rent for that matter, you don't pay zakat on it. You pay zakat on the profit or the collectibles, the rent basically here on the Airbnb. You don't pay zakat on the house itself.
Even if it's a second.
Even if it's a 10th house. Because some people might own a house here in Houston, they live in it. And I say, oh, and by the way, I own a house in Beirut. It's okay. I only go there for 2 weeks a month. Is that okay? That's okay. So this is the rifq bil muzakki. Because it is, people happen to live in more than one country, in multiple countries, and it is not,
But this is, you buy it specifically, you're never gonna live in
Yeah.
there, and you're just
So
buying
you
it.
buy it for, this becomes a mustaghallat basically, that you only pay on the revenue that you collected from rent on, once a month, whatever, you add it, combine it to your other assets, and you pay 2.5% on it.
Because you're not putting it for sale.
You're
You're
Once
putting
it-
it for rent. So you,
Once it is intended for sale and you put it for sale, you have to pay zakat on it.
Question about the inventory that you mentioned. So you said once the annual time comes, you pay zakat on the whole inventory, even though you may or may not sell it, and once you sell it, you make a profit. Then you make zakat on that, so it's twice.
Well, you add what you have the inventory to your other assets, to your cash flow basically. So your Excel sheet will have $500,000 in cash and $250,000 in inventory. Total is $750,000. Because what happened, you're either gonna shift the inventory to cash flow or the cash to inventory. And the total sum is what you pay zakat on. Madruse.
So I've got a question on the jewelry side. So we were saying yesterday that if it's gold or silver, and let's say we're not using it, we have to pay zakat on that.
What do you mean you're not using it?
Like we bought it for investment purposes.
For investment, you have to pay zakat.
So what about when we said for other diamonds or stones,
You don't pay zakat.
even if it's an investment? Like we
If
bought
it's
it
for investment,
Yeah.
and it's
not being used, just like
that's urud tijara basically. That's inventory.
okay. But
Does
then
that make sense?
what I don't
But
understand
if
is
the wife, she has a diamond ring that's $30,000, has a necklace $60,000, that's not zakatable.
then why do we say that gold and silver is zakatable and not diamonds? In what scenario is that true?
When it becomes jewelry, in terms of jewelry. And we said, the majority of the scholars, they say jewelry are not zakatable, period, if it's for use.
Okay.
The people who say that jewelry are zakatable, that applies only to gold and silver and does not apply to
Pearls and diamonds.
diamond and precious stones, what sapphire and emeralds and aqiq wal zumurrud
Okay.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, as long as it's not for investment.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
And someone made a comment yesterday, we laughed at it, I just want to make a comment, actually a follow-up comment, that you don't have to convert your madhab actually. It is okay to follow a different madhab if the opinion is stronger. So this is, it is very practical aspect of what we do. If there is a more practical and stronger opinion, it is okay to use it outside the madhab. And this is, in the usul al-fiqh is okay. So it is not a sin to follow a Shafi'i madhab even if you're Hanafi, and being strict to one madhab in all things, even when they're burdensome, that is not the essence of Sharia. I think that's very important to make. وجزاكم الله خيرا.